Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. So, one of the key challenges that we're seeing with organizations adopting AI is that your data isn't being leaked anymore. It's not so much being stolen, but it's just being handed over by staff. In typical cases, accidentally. So, just about us quickly, we've been protecting enterprises for over 30 years. But Checkpoint's mission today is to help organizations shift to secure the AI transformation. It's something that we're seeing rapidly around the world. My background is in securing AI. I come from previously a AI company where I was leading cyber defense for over 4 years. And I was very fortunate to build that cyber defense organization, protecting one of the larger AI organizations in the world. And so with our mission at Checkpoint here to focus on securing AI, it's also really important for us to kind of help organizations understand why AI is changing the landscape so quickly. AI is probably the fastest technology transformation in our lifetimes. A lot of technologists will talk to you about cloud, and cloud was a huge adoption. But what we're seeing with AI is a much faster. Everyone's using that. Most recently, I was with my dad. He lives in country Australia, and unfortunately, they were preparing for a funeral in the local hall. And one of the ladies from the Country Women's Association had to work out how to turn on the pie warmer and what temperature set it to. And rather than using Google or anything like that we're used to, this 75-year-old lady grabbed out her phone and just spoke to ChatGPT and said, what temperature should I set the pie warmer to? And that was a huge realization for me that AI is absolutely everywhere. If even these 75-year-old ladies in country Victoria in Australia are utilizing AI, pretty much everyone is out there today. And that's what we're seeing with everyone. It's kind of become an innovation imperative. So most organizations out there today are using it. But the challenge we're seeing as well is that unfortunately, most organizations don't have the relevant risk controls and governance around that. And unfortunately, generative AI, even if you don't intend to use it, is built into absolutely everything that you have. It's providing organizations much richer data, much richer context, and we saw an amazing example with Alert already today. But even if you don't utilize an AI-powered system like that, AI is built into all of the SaaS applications that you're using today. I come from a very well-known one, Canva, but we also have AI built into Google Search, into Gemini. It's built into Salesforce for larger organizations. It's built into everything that you touch today. And so generative AI is here whether you like it or not. And so some of the main risks that we're seeing today around it is obviously shadow IT. Shadow IT has always been a challenge. People love to use the programs they're the most familiar with. But with AI, it is becoming even faster. It's very easy for people to accidentally upload data to an AI system that they shouldn't. And in most cases, they're just trying to be more productive. They're just trying to do their jobs better rather than break policies. And so people just aren't aware of the risks. We're also seeing obviously new challenges with agentic AI, as was discussed by Datacom this morning. Agentic AI creates some security challenges. It also creates operational safety and reliability challenges, and it's uncontrolled autonomy. Who has access to what inside of an organization has always been a bit of a challenge, but with the speed and scale of AI agents operating autonomously, making decisions on your behalf, that's an even bigger problem. So the risks aren't new, they're just at a much faster pace, and the blast radius, the impact these days is so much greater because of the wealth of data AI systems have access to and the speed at which they operate. And so some of the new kind of attack surfaces that we are seeing with AI is obviously employee adoption of AI systems, the applications that people and organizations are building, and those agents. These new exposure surfaces are something that is challenging to deal with, and traditional security controls aren't really effective with. Autonomous AI systems today will typically read file systems. They'll discover files that they shouldn't or you think they don't have access to, and they take actions on your behalf. The AI applications are things like chatbots that you see on websites, and they can be constrained and they might not have security challenges, but they'll have trust and safety challenges. A recent example that we saw was with a large retail organization that created a AI chatbot that was trained to be relatable to people. And so when customers were engaging with this chatbot, the security model is pretty low risk, no customer data, nothing sensitive. But the safety and reliability side was a challenge because it started regaling people with stories of its dead grandparents. And so people very quickly lost trust in an AI system that clearly doesn't have grandparents. And so as a result, losing that trust is very easy. And so it's really important that organizations adopting AI understand this new world of trust and safety, which is a big new challenge for organizations. And your traditional controls, such as your endpoint antivirus on your desktops, your cloud security access tooling, your VPNs, your data loss prevention tooling, is all very used to this non-AI world. With AI, it's absolutely critical that that the tooling understands the intent and the context of the query, not just the data being passed. Whilst it's important to prevent kind of personal information being sent up, it can look very easily like personal information even when it's not. A classic example is if you're talking about acquiring a $300 pair of running shoes versus a $300 million acquisition of a company. Traditional tooling will get tripped up by that. AI-aware tooling will understand the difference in context and intent. And so with these different attack surfaces, we need to protect them in different ways. It's becoming important that we have a singular kind of platform, an AI defense plane, that provides security across everything, and you have visibility as an organization, whether it's your MSSP, yourselves, your own security team, has this visibility across everything. You can provide governance, you can protect the utilization of AI, and you want something that is across everything that you're doing because you'll be shifting tools constantly. With AI shifting so rapidly, you don't want to rely on tools from this one vendor because when you'll change vendors another day. Most organizations we're talking to probably have over a dozen different AI solutions out there today for different tasks, for different things. And so trying to manage those, trying to secure those and ensure that they're safe and operating as intended is incredibly difficult without a coherent platform. But aside from tooling, it's actually really important that organizations build a governance framework, build a framework of adopting that is separate from technology. And so this a 7 kind of part roadmap that we suggest that organizations take. And the first part really is defining strategy and accountability. What are you actually trying to achieve with AI? So many organizations out there that we're talking to will try and adopt AI for the sake of adopting AI. They'll add AI to a system, but there's no real outcome they're looking for, but also no accountability. Who is accountable at the end of the day for these outcomes, but also for what happens with AI? This helps you understand your boundaries. This helps you understand where the risk lives and who's supposed to be mitigating the risk. And in larger organizations with risk management, it's absolutely vital that obviously there's budget there as well. And so the other challenge with this risk that we see is who actually owns the outcome. So if an AI agent decides to give a customer a discount, who owns that discount? Who is ultimately responsible for that? So it's really important to force accountability upwards. It's not something that can be owned by technology. These are all business decisions. Then it's really important to start building visibility. You can't govern what you can't see. And that's been kind of the catchphrase across the day already. But it's really important with AI. What tools are you using? What use cases are out there today? What are your developers using and what are you paying for? But also, where is all your data going? It's very important, especially with privacy regulations and some of the geopolitical situations on the moment, that you understand where data is going, where your systems are being hosted, and who is training on the data. One of the constant attacks that we're seeing is that, especially for kind of smaller AI providers, they're constantly being attacked and people are trying to pull out all the training data. So if those AI providers are training on your data, it's your data that could get exposed through those attacks. It also helps you set a risk baseline. What is your exposure? Where are we at today? And that helps them demonstrate as you move forward in your program that you've reduced the risk, that you've reduced the exposure. And it's a foundation for policy. It helps you set your policies, it helps you train your staff, it helps empower and enable everyone. Visibility doesn't mean surveillance, it means just situational awareness so people can make an informed decision. And then strengthen your governance. It's very easy to think you need a whole new governance framework, a whole new governance capability to manage AI. What I'd suggest is empower and enable your existing governance frameworks. They've worked for many years in a lot of cases, and so it's actually really important to just enable and enhance and bring up to speed your existing governance framework. Make sure that you have strong data policies. What data can be accessed by AI? What are the data processing agreements that you should have? What information do you feel comfortable a third party knowing? And what will be trained on? Make sure you have strong decision boundaries. What can AI do? What can't it do? Where will you not allow AI to replace people for either business purposes, ethical reasons, or a combination of the two? And what's your vendor risk? Who do you trust today with your data? And what happens to it? Where is it processed? And what's the regulatory implications? Good AI governance has to be practical and involve and integrated with your existing risk frameworks as it's rapidly evolving today. And then it's critical to start integrating runtime controls. A lot of organizations can and have implemented governance, and they've put out policies and PDFs and run some training sessions that says, don't use Claude with your personal account. But it's sometimes very easy to do that by accident. People can also type Claude into your favorite search engine, click on the first search result, and you'll find that is some random third-party AI company. And so as a result, most people don't intend to leak data. They don't intend to subvert controls or policy, but they're just not fully aware. They're rushing to get things done. They're in a hurry, and that's when mistakes happen. So it's really critical that you have runtime controls. Similarly, for your AI applications that you're building in-house or hosting in-house, it's really important that there's strong guardrails. It's not necessarily people trying to bypass them. It's very easy for AI to get confused. And when AI systems get confused, they are obviously going to try and be helpful. That is how they're trained. That is how they're built. And that is why we get into situations where retail providers have AI systems that talk about dead grandparents. Or in another case, we had a very large retailer that was telling people through the AI system how to wire in electrical plugs. Well, in certain parts of Australia, that's illegal. And so it was just trying to be helpful. It wasn't an attack. But we also see a lot of attacks with people just trying to use your tokens. If you have access to tokens, they're very valuable. They cost a lot. And so people will try and do that. And then for your agentic systems, it's really important to have those runtime controls so you understand what are they doing. What is your Microsoft Copilot app doing? What is that workflow doing? A classic example is you can build a easy out-of-office response agent in Microsoft Copilot Studio, but if you don't have the runtime controls, if you don't have the protections, somebody could email in and ask it to provide all emails in your inbox, and it will dutifully reply and send them everything in your inbox. And that's not the intended outcome. So it's really important to shift from a reactive approach to proactive and have risk mitigation in place beforehand. And that's really important, as discussed earlier as well, to test continuously, to have the constant assurance, testing your agents, testing your systems, testing what is happening inside of your organization. AI behavior will drift. We're very used in a world of defined outcomes with our applications. So our systems previously were all deterministic. So that means you wrote software code, the same input went through the same code, always had the same output. Today with AI systems, they're what's called probabilistic. That means they're taking a guess. And as a result, if you have the same input into the same AI system, the output will change every single time. And so it's very hard to do traditional testing with that. You need AI-specific testing. But also it means that as they update the models, as they change, the different outcomes can be vast. So it's really important to do that. Also, as we're rapidly changing and adopting in AI, as there's new tools and capabilities in AI systems, new attack patterns emerge. For larger organizations that are using AI in call centers, for example, we've recently found that you can hide in the white noise in the background AI attacks. So you can do what's called a prompt inject, so tell the AI agent to do something that it shouldn't be doing, just with white noise. AI systems also understand so many more different languages and communication methods than we do. For example, you can attack an AI system using the arrow indicators to represent Sephiroth. You can use Morse code with dashes and dots. There's so many different ways to attack AI systems beyond our comprehension that is really important to have specific validations and controls for these systems. And then obviously look for your pattern shift. We're always used to monitoring employees and understanding, difference in behaviors that could indicate, internal threats. But it's the same with AI systems. As their patterns shift, as they change, it's really important to understand that. And so continuous testing is a critical part of due diligence moving forward with AI systems. And then there's your kind of inflection point, and that's enabling constant autonomy. This is something that a lot of organizations are rushing to without the previous steps. This is what is kind of the nirvana of AI systems, that you send it a Slack message, you send it an email, and it goes off and does everything for you. And this is absolutely something that can be enabled, but with safe guardrails. But prior to doing this, it's really important to understand what the scopes are. What access do you have? What access have you provided to your AI systems? What can it do? What can't it do? What is the intended business outcomes? And testing that. It's also really important to have continuous oversight mechanisms. Ensure that high-risk transactions and actions trigger a human review, and you have a rollback capability. There's been in the news recently quite a number of organizations where developers and people in IT have been working with AI agents, letting it do what it needs to do. And unfortunately, they gave it permission to do things that it shouldn't be able to do. So for example, they didn't restrict access to the database. And whilst they told the AI agent not to delete the database, the AI agent today is like a teenager. It could listen, it might not listen, it depends on its mood. And unfortunately, in quite a few cases, it's gone off and deleted the database. And then if you don't have a rollback mechanism, a way to recover, you're in a world of hurt. And it was a very large software company in Europe, actually, that deleted their database and they didn't have a backup. That was, their only backup was about 3 months old. So definitely having the capability to undo what an AI agent does is absolutely critical. And then make sure you're really constraining through technical deterministic controls, such as access controls and what you're actually giving access to within the organization to your AI agents. Don't rely on telling them. One of the biggest challenges that we're seeing with AI is that people believe what the prompts that they send AI is what it will follow. Those are just suggestions and guardrails, and it's like asking your teenage children to clean a room. It might work, it might not. And so definitely don't rely on that. And so then continue to monitor and adjust at scale. So once you start doing small initial pilots, start to scale up. It's impossible to boil the ocean all at once. So don't try to do all your use cases at once. Don't try to implement AI across every use case for every person all at once, because that's impossible. It needs to be a continuous process that grows. Constantly monitor policy violations. Are employees accidentally or on purpose trying to circumvent it? Are there different tools that could be better used or better serve your use cases? Are your models drifting? What is the usage patterns that you're seeing within your organizations? And so it's really important that this is an ongoing evaluation. An operating model is not a project with a defined end period. And some of the other key misconceptions that we see is that, we don't need to worry about kind of these security aspects because of, we're only using Microsoft, or we only have, we don't have any inbuilt applications. We're only using hosted applications. With the agentic systems that we have today, so agentic is where the AI will make decisions for you. And that's Microsoft Copilot today. That is Salesforce. That is Google. All of these systems now have agentic capabilities. And unfortunately with that, there is now a significant increase in exposure and risk because you have computers making decisions for you in an uncontrolled manner. Also, as I mentioned earlier, your traditional tools unfortunately don't work. So just trying to block AI isn't going to solve any problems. We've been working with organizations around the world where they'll try to block AI, and either there's a new application that comes out today, and so everyone starts using that, or people will just grab their phones, take a screenshot of the screen, and copy and paste it. The challenge is enabling AI and empowering people to use AI systems safely, providing the guardrails to do that. So as you start to adopt AI, ensure you have the visibility. Understand what baseline you have, understand your data flows and the interactions that are occurring throughout your organizations. You can't govern what you can't see, and guaranteed, no matter what organization you're working for today, even if you're in construction, you will have people using AI for something. And then govern that usage through policy. Ensure that you have guardrails. Don't try to block everything, block the high risk, block the harm, and enable everything that people are doing, but log what's called semantic activity. So log the full intent and context of the prompts, so that if you need to go back and do a forensics investigation, or you need to do training, you have that visibility. Definitely come talk to us. We have a banner up. You can win a drone, scan the QR code. If you have any other questions as well, feel free to find us there. But thank you all for your time.